The humidity inside the stadium was palpable, a thick, heavy blanket that seemed to press down on the shoulders of everyone in attendance. But for Alexandra Eala, the air didn't feel heavy, it felt electric. It tasted like opportunity. Across the net stood Belinda Bencic, a player whose resume read like a tennis encyclopedia, Olympic gold medalist, former top 5 ranking, and a veteran who had dismantled the world's best with surgical precision and icy composure. To the uninitiated observer, this was a mismatch. To the pundits, it was a learning experience for the young Filipino star. But as Eala stepped up to the baseline, adjusting her visor and bouncing the ball with a rhythm that matched her own heartbeat, she knew something the scoreboard hadn't yet revealed. This wasn't just a match. It was a declaration. The weight of expectation. To understand the magnitude of this victory, one must first understand the journey that led to it. Eala has carried the hopes of Philippine tennis since she was a child prodigy dominating junior circuits. She became the first Filipino to win a junior Grand Slam title at the US Open, a feat that transformed her from a promising athlete into a national symbol. With that title came an immense, sometimes crushing, weight. Every loss was scrutinized, every win was expected. The transition from the junior ranks to the WTA Tour is notoriously brutal, a graveyard for former junior champions who couldn't adapt to the power, consistency, and mental fortitude of professional women's tennis. Belinda Bencic represented the ultimate test of that transition. Bencic is not merely a talented player, she is a tactical genius. Her game is built on anticipation rather than raw power. She absorbs pace, redirects angles, and constructs points with the patience of a chess grandmaster. For a rising star like Eala, facing Bencic was akin to taking a final exam before graduating. The narrative surrounding the match was predictable. Eala would show flashes of brilliance, but Bencic's experience would ultimately prevail. The betting markets reflected this. The commentators spoke of future potential rather than present danger. But narratives are written in ink, while matches are played in sweat. The first set, a clash of philosophies. The match began with a tension that silenced the crowd. Bencic started exactly as expected, using her flat, penetrating ground strokes to push Eala deep behind the baseline. The Swiss star won the first 3 games, moving with an effortless grace that made the court look smaller. Eala looked tight, her forehand landing short, her serve lacking its usual bite. The whispers in the stands began, too fast, too big a stage. Then came the 4th game. Eala served, double faulted to bring up break point, and then unleashed a second serve kick that jumped above Bencic's strike zone. Bencic framed the return. Eala followed with a backhand winner down the line that painted the sideline. The hold was messy, but it was vital. It was the moment Eala stopped playing Bencic's game and started imposing her own. The shift was subtle at first. Eala began to take the ball earlier, robbing Bencic of the recovery time she relies on. The Filipino star's athleticism, honed through years of intense physical conditioning, allowed her to defend positions that other players would concede. But defense alone doesn't beat a player like Bencic. Eala needed offense, and she found it in her forehand. She began to dictate rallies with heavy topspin, pushing Bencic back and opening up the court. By the time the first set reached a tiebreak, the momentum had visibly shifted. Bencic, usually unflappable, showed rare signs of frustration. She had expected Eala to fade, instead, Eala had grown stronger. The tiebreak was a microcosm of the new dynamic. Eala won it 7-4, sealing the set with an ace out wide. The stadium erupted. It wasn't just applause, it was disbelief mixed with dawning realization. Eala wasn't just competing. She was leading. The second set, the mental crucible. If the first set was about tactical adjustment, the second set was about mental fortitude. Bencic, stung by the set loss, recalibrated. She began to mix in drop shots and change-ups, testing Eala's patience and court coverage. The Swiss star broke Eala's serve early in the second set, and suddenly the match was back on a knife's edge. This is where most young players crumble. The ghost of past losses, the fear of letting a lead slip away, the overwhelming presence of an opponent who has been here before, it all converges in moments like this. Eala had faced this darkness before. She had lost matches she should have won. She had felt the crushing disappointment of unfulfilled potential. But she had also done the work. She had worked with sports psychologists. She had studied film. She had learned that resilience isn't the absence of doubt, it's the ability to execute despite it. Eala held her next service game with authority, then immediately applied pressure on Bensik's serve. The rally at 3-3 deuce lasted 22 shots. It was a grueling exchange of cross-court backhands and defensive lobs that tested every fiber of both players' endurance. When Eala finally ended the point with a running forehand pass, she didn't celebrate wildly. She simply nodded, wiped her brow, and prepared for the next point. That restraint was more terrifying to Bensik than any scream. It signaled that Eala was no longer riding emotion, she was operating with cold, focused intent. She broke back. Then she held. Then she broke again. The second set ended 6-3, but the scoreline belied the ferocity of the battle. Eala had not just outplayed Bensik, she had outlasted her. She had entered the mental crucible and emerged forged. The aftermath, more than a win. When the final ball landed long and Eala dropped to her knees, the image was seared into the collective memory of everyone watching. This wasn't just a victory, it was a validation. In the post-match interview, Eala's voice trembled, not from exhaustion, but from the release of years of accumulated pressure. She spoke of her family, her coaches, and the Filipino fans who had believed in her even when she struggled to believe in herself. She acknowledged Bensik's greatness, showing a maturity that belied her age. But beyond the emotions, the tactical implications were profound. Eala had proven that her game could withstand elite-level scrutiny. She had shown that her athleticism could be paired with strategic intelligence. She had demonstrated that she could close out matches against top-tier opponents, silencing the critics who questioned her mental toughness. For Philippine tennis, this victory was seismic. It provided tangible proof that the country could produce not just junior champions, but WTA contenders. It inspired a generation of young Filipino athletes who now had a living, breathing blueprint for success. For the global tennis community, it was a reminder that the next wave is arriving faster and fiercer than anticipated. Belinda Bencic, to her credit, handled the defeat with grace. She recognized that she had been beaten by a better player on the day. In tennis, respect is earned through performance, and Eala had earned it in full measure. Looking forward, the ceiling has been shattered. Victories like this do not guarantee future success. Tennis is unforgiving, and tomorrow brings a new opponent, a new challenge, a new test. But something fundamental has changed for Alex Eala. She now knows, with absolute certainty, that she belongs. The ceiling that once seemed so close has been shattered. What lies above is unknown territory, filled with both promise and peril. But Alex Eala is no longer looking up at it with wonder. She is climbing toward it with purpose. The story of this match will be told for years. Coaches will use the tape to teach tactical adaptation. Sports psychologists will reference it as a case study in mental resilience. Fans will recall it as the moment they realized they were witnessing the emergence of a true star. But for Alex Eala, it will always be something more personal. It will be the day she proved to herself that all the sacrifice, all the doubt, all the lonely hours on practice courts around the world had been worth it. In the end, tennis is a simple game. 2 players, a net, a ball. But within that simplicity lies infinite complexity. Within it lies the capacity for human drama, for triumph and tragedy, for the revelation of character under fire. On this day, under these lights, against this opponent, Alexandra Eala revealed hers. And it was stunning. The road ahead remains long. There will be losses. There will be injuries. There will be moments of doubt that echo the ones she overcame today. But there will also be victories that build upon this foundation. There will be deeper runs in Grand Slams. There will be higher rankings. There will be moments when the entire nation holds its breath, waiting for her to deliver once more. And when those moments come, Alex Eala will remember this match. She will remember the humidity, the noise, the feeling of the racket in her hand. She will remember the look in Belinda Bencic's eyes when she realized the tide had turned. She will remember the roar of the crowd and the quiet certainty in her own heart. She will remember that she is not just a prospect. She is not just a junior champion. She is not just a symbol of hope. She is Alex Eala. And she has arrived.